Hello everyone. Welcome. Last time I left a few little things unexpressed about my idea of how time works. How I see it from here, and based on my experience. I also remember that, at the end, I raised an interesting question. Interesting according to me, of course. How does time work in dreams? And, is it different from how it works in this reality you now perceive? Well, according to me, yes and no. It is different from the point of view of the perception of how long it takes for events to happen, of course. A million things could be happening in a dream of a nap that actually lasted half an hour, or even the other way around as well. It may be that a situation progresses very little in a matter of an hour's sleep. An important detail is also visibly different, and that is that in a dream, you can see how a chick hatches at the very moment it breaks the shell of its egg, and just a few seconds later, imagine what it will be like when it grows up and becomes a hen. And in that instant when you imagine it, you are automatically transported to that moment when it is an adult hen. But then you think, hey, I was actually at the moment when this chick was hatching. And then you go back to that moment again. But these two differences that I just explained a moment ago, actually, they are not differences. They are similarities. In reality, there is only one difference. And that difference is the much slower, much doughier way of perceiving time that you have right now. That way of perceiving time, attributed to a much lower density, is part of the experience that you, source, decide to impose on the character you have created for this experience, as I explained in the previous video. Note something important, and that is that I say you decide, and not decided. Because absolutely everything happens now, and that means that even the past can be modified, especially when we talk about decisions regarding the future and the agreements that limit, or not, your character. I'm not saying it's a simple thing. It's just something that I feel can be done with enough conviction and brainpower. Difficult, but possible. I could say it's more difficult the lower the density you are in, but in reality, that's also a simple idea. With that said, the moment in your story that you are living right now is being lived by you because you have your attention here. And just like in a dream, you can imagine different endings, different futures, even transporting you to them. The only difference is that it will take you longer than in a dream to get there. Therefore, you need more power of constant attention to those futures, more patience, greater constancy. But in the end, it works the same way. And how do you get to those futures in a dream? By imagining them and living them in your mind, until they become your present. But then, how does that affect souls? I will make a clarification. And that is that I will talk about souls so that you know exactly what I mean, but I don't like to use that word either, which is loaded with meanings that are not really the case at all. When I say soul, or Atma, I simply mean the point of attention that certain characters decide to embody, in an extremely reduced and simplistic way. And I am very, very short of describing it as extremely reduced and simplistic. We have all heard at one time or another that of an old soul or a new soul, fresh from the source. Therefore, we could deduce that even souls function with a linearity, at least from their point of view. Couldn't we? Well, yes and no, again. From their point of view, it does. In the between life, you remember those supposedly past lives that form you and have given you all those experiences. However, you are only observing another character above the previous one. Let's look at it this way. Let's say you decide right now to draw 3 different characters, each with their own history and context. These characters have totally different lives, which have nothing to do with each other, or they do, depending on what you choose. We could say that you, as the artist, are the soul that remembers and lives the lives you have drawn. And the consciousness that is even higher up has decided that you, the artist, created those 3 characters for yourself. That is to say, even when you are in the between life, and you are aware of all those lives that you have lived and define your soul, and give it a certain concept of identity and a certain baggage of ideas, you are again being a character with an established context. That context can be that you are a very old soul with a lot of experience, or a totally new soul. In reality, that soul will have lived what it imagines it has lived, which is part of its truth, its linearity, and its perception. But in the end, you are the one who decides the story of that soul and the people it was, is, and will be. In the same way, the same artist can draw all 3 at the same time, without having to wait to draw the moment when another dies. This, translated into an Atma, would mean that a person can die today, and have been reincarnated on this same timeline for many years. From the linear point of view of that soul, first it was Peter, and then it was John, being that John already existed before Peter passed away. In other words, one incarnation can remember as its past, another who lives there with it in its present. In summary and as a final message, you control time constantly. You have only forgotten that you do. And as little Sophia once said, if you control time, you control everything. And in the same way, if you understand time, you can understand practically everything, in my view. It is not for nothing that this is the theme I have chosen. I thank you and congratulate you for sticking it out to the end. I hope you liked it very much. I would like to leave you with another question for next time, because yes, I still have a lot more I can talk about on this topic. The question is, does destiny exist? Is it immovable? I can give you a little hint. The answer is not as simple as yes or no. That will be all for today. I leave you to think. Best regards. Za'el of Error.